by the mayor of Marysville about a program that is working up there. We're going to look through that, and then I have put a slideshow on each one of our recommendations for the task force. Then we're all going to vote on each one of those task force item suggestions. The ones that win the most votes will be sent over to the city staff. The city staff will evaluate how much time and money those things cost, if anything, and only then will it go to council. So we've still got a good another couple of months before anything actually happens at the council level. Okay? So basically, the city of Marysville started a program where they embedded a social worker with their law enforcement program. And they said they did this to help clients navigate the complex social service system and to remove the barriers that exist between addiction and homelessness to sobriety and housing. I just wrote that. So
you teach them how to work the system?
I don't know, sir. I'm not from Marysville. The history to present, it began in 2015 with one office and one social worker. This program has expanded over the past 3 years to do the success rates and helping the people who are homeless, addicted, and are mentally ill get off the streets and back to living a productive life. Everett Police followed up with a similar program, and now the program serves unincorporated Snohomish County, Marysville, Monroe, and Arlington, with 5 social workers and various law enforcement officials. The focus of the program is to offer programs to the homeless community struggling with addictions and mental health issues, and the goal is to have these people enter and engage and complete the necessary steps to be able to have a secure residence and return to being stable, productive, and healthy individuals. So these are the government partners that are involved with this. These are the community partners that are involved. Obviously, a lot more community partners than government partners here. Here are the people that are actually working the team. And then here's the typical process that happens. First, you make multiple contacts with homeless individuals. This would be through the police or the actual social worker. You build trust, develop a game plan for that individual. Ensure that they have their life essentials like an ID card, an EBT card, insurance, complete a chemical dependency assessment, complete a mental health assessment, detox, inpatient, and secure housing. These are some of the headlines that have been in the local newspapers. So here's where they're making contact. They have 62 people that they've met on the streets, 35 that were law enforcement officer referrals, 54 came from the jail, 29 from county, 25 from the city, and then 18 in individual homeless camps. Here's those social work numbers. So we've got chemical dependence, detox, treatment, housing. Total encounters of 914 with a total of new clients of 149. This is what they determined that they actually need in their community. They need more shelter beds, transportation alternatives, sundries, care packages, additional housing, and employment opportunities. And these are some texts from clients that they had and that they were working through with their programs. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate everything you guys have done for me. I love my life once again, and things are just falling into place for me. Words can't even explain how grateful I am for both of you. Thank you. Another says, please share with Mike. I don't have his number. It's important to me that you both know how awesome you are. And the last says, it's Lisa. Thank you. Spent the first Thanksgiving sober and 7 years with my kids. All 3 of us doing awesome. You guys rock. So that's the end of that slideshow. So that's just what one city is doing. That's obviously not what Yelm LOUDLY is doing. But what I am finding is table on a committee dedicated to addressing the ongoing issue of homelessness. It would strengthen and expand support services, reducing a cost burden to the city of Yelm. It would be focused on public health and safety for all of Yelm residents, open to community input and involvement. It would interface with the city of Yelm, Yelm Police Department, and Thurston County agencies and other government or nonprofit organizations to identify and assist in the implementation of solutions. And this would be no cost to Yelm. She also suggests using this Yelm Community Center for emergency shelter during periods of severe inclement weather, as identified by Thurston County. Those are normally called blue, Operation Blue Code events. Code Blue events, yeah. Joe DePinto says he would increase law enforcement of the current ordinances and RCWs. He would build on the current law enforcement partnerships with Thurston County and the Nisqually tribe to increase narcotics enforcement. Working with local nonprofits and churches that already provide services to low income and homeless and provide a list of existing services to the vulnerable. He also suggests hosting a monthly clinic at the Yelm Community Center that would bring in DSHS, Thurston County, various addiction and mental health counselors, and medical dental treatment if necessary. I said, and I have said previously, that I don't want to spend any tax dollars on this, but I would recommend that we create this homelessness commission to continue interacting with current service providers and just organize and categorize the services and make this list. The commission would interface between the service providers and the Yelm Police Department, and it would continue to review actions taken by other cities and give periodic recommendations to the council. The reason that I said this was because I literally got 2 emails today from service providers who said, hey, we're involved in the city of Yelm, do you even know about it? And I said, I had no idea that you guys even existed. So people are still coming out of the woodwork, people are still popping up and saying, yeah, we want to help, we want to be involved. And I don't think that this task force can make a permanent decision for all time. I think we need to continue to review, periodically. So that's my recommendation. Suzan LeFurgey said that she wanted to talk about hers. So Susie, you want to talk about your list?
Oh, okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. As part of our work this past year, we have done some extensive thinking and some good research, and today I have a little bit more information than what's listed here. I'd kind of like to just explain some of the details of some of these things and the way I feel like they could work. So the first one is a cold weather emergency overnight shelter space. Open the Yelm Community Center available during cold blue emergencies. I just want to explain that a little bit to you. A cold blue emergency is something that happens every year in Thurston County when the temperatures fall below 30 degrees. The Thurston County Homeless Housing Authority and the Hazardous Weather Task Force are Thurston County entities, which we fall under those. They have the cold blue emergency. They approximate between 20 and 30 evenings a year. So we'd be looking at some time spent here in the community center. What I have done is, of course, we all know, we've repeated over and over, there's between 30 and 50 of a fluctuating number of homeless people in Yelm. In order to counter these adverse effects, the shelter, there's just a few little particulars that we would have about the shelter. It would be open from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. in the morning. A city worker, of course, as usual, would come open the door and lock the door. The doors would remain open. If the space is already booked in evening time, that would be fine. We would just have to wait until that meeting was over before we began operation. Hopefully, it would not go beyond the 10 p.m. In the evening time for us to be able to have them here. Again, service organizations. I believe that we have enough infrastructure here in Yelm between the Love Abounds group, the Linked Churches group, that I think that we could staff that using volunteer people. I don't think that it would have to be paid positions in order to do this efficiently. The thing that we would absolutely need are rules. So just real quickly, I'll go through a few of them here. Limited parking would be okay for people to park outside, but we would not allow RV parking. We really just I kind of felt like it would be, to allow an RV to sit one place, it might stay for a little bit longer than you'd like. And there are very few people who have cars. Loitering outside would not be permitted, so we wouldn't be seeing people, all around the park and all around the building. They'd be asked to come, and they'd be asked to come inside. The other thing is, of course, they'd bring their own bedding, and we provided the service organizations would. Targeted quiet times would be between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. No smoking, of course. If they were to smoke outside, it would have to be out in the street, and there would be no cigarette butts allowed to be left around. Excuse me.
This man is sparse and start over.
Excuse me, I thought that a lot of people would be interested in how some of these things would work, and that's why I offered
They don't
a little
work.
bit of information. These are just
All
suggestions.
right, sir. Please let her finish, and we can move on. Please finish, Susan.
Again, there would be rules, no drugs, of course. The police force would be in the police force, that's next on my list. As a matter of course, and they're within close proximity, they would always, the officers on duty that evening would always be aware that we are here, or the people are here. No prepared meals, snacks, no access to the kitchen, it would be locked. The technology in closets would be locked. We would clean up, they would clean up before they left. From 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Cleanup situation. The cost of this would be an in-kind donation of almost 450 hours per winter. That would be the maximum of 30 nights with those 15 hours. The next one is a weekly clinic for service organizations. The reason I say weekly is I think that it's a very good idea to do this. Last week I told you about some of the service organizations that have already began coming over from Olympia. We deserve it, people. Our tax dollars from state and federal taxes come to this county. They are filtered to those people. If they're totally willing to come over here, then that would be great. One thing that we found from the organizations starting to do this is that I've encountered more than one person who will say, I know I'm supposed to meet with Julian, I know I'm supposed to meet with Stacy, but I don't know where, I don't know when. So it really is a need for them to come to another person and say, I want to meet with these service organizations is a very good sign. The next would be a trash pickup. Now this would not be an ordinary trash pickup. Everyone here who has a home has the availability of trash pickup. A lot of times what can happen, and I'd like to repeat this, we have worked for an entire year, and I think that it is very appropriate for me to be able to go through my list.
You're here.
Thank you.
Please go through your list, but don't go extend on it.
We don't want it.
We don't.
I would like to hear it, Susie.
This is rubbish.
Rubbish. Yes, we're talking about rubbish. Thank you very much. A trash pickup situation can very easily be handled. On April 1st last year, I contacted them. This isn't even in my paper, but I'll go ahead and tell you. I contacted the city and I said, we've got a person that I know has a lot of trash. On April 20th, I have 2 people who are willing to go pick up that trash. Please do not bother them and tell them. I was told, yes, okay, we won't. When we made our effort to go on April 20th, that camp was completely cleared out. That was a traumatic situation. I would not want anyone in here to be exposed to trauma, and that includes homeless people in the city of Yelm. Anyway, the trash pickup would go as follows. A designated service organization would educate the people in the camps about their trash pickup. They would provide them with trash bags, and they would help them pick up the trash. All that would be needed would be for the trash bags to be placed in a spot easily recognizable and reported to the city workers, and those trash bags could be picked up. Think about the money that it costs for the city to go and clean out a camp. Take a bulldozer, take several employees, and bulldoze a camp, again traumatizing the people who live in that camp. We can sit here and argue all day that we want about whether the placement of that camp is in a proper place or not. But if it exists and it has trash, it needs to be taken care of. It's a health concern, and I believe that with the cooperation of the city, it could be done in this manner. It is a very simple issue. Again, number 4, I'll go on to the next one. Ordinances. We have a few ordinances in the city of Yelm that affect the homeless people in Yelm. You know, I've looked at them and they're fairly reasonable, and the homeless people are aware of the rules, and yes, maybe one or few here or there may not totally follow them, but that is an issue for the police department to address. But the one thing that I want to say is that ordinances, I would recommend to the city of Yelm, the city council members themselves who do pass ordinances, that the past history of ordinances in this country and in this county, when we start being too punitive, we're running into problems, people, with the Constitution of the United States and with the voice of the speaker, that is in the Supreme Court right now.
Last thing you care about the Constitution.
You guys will all have time to comment afterwards, okay?
Would you please stop?
No.
Please stop.
No, thank you.
You're boring.
I'm not finished and I have the floor. Thank you very much. Y'all can be as hateful as you want, but this problem
It's not hateful,
is
we're
not
just
going
bored.
to go away. You yelling at me
Hateful
is
is
not
your
going to
word.
make a
Your
problem
word is
go
your word.
away. We must deal with it, and we must deal with it expediently. We must deal with it with as little
You're
cost
boring.
as possible.
All right, stop.
No.
We're gonna stop.
Tell her to stop. Jesus, criminy. I came here for a meeting. I don't want to listen to this.
This is the meeting. She
No,
is part
be
of the
quiet.
task force.
You, be quiet.
Excuse me.
No, I'm not excusing you at all. I'll never excuse you.
I am not going to stop. We have worked for a year on this.
Too bad. You've done. You're done. Down. Sit down. Put the microphone away.
I will finish my
Sit down and put the microphone away, please.
I'm giving the floor to Officer Fields.
Listen, you guys, I'm a firm believer that all the tax-paying citizens and business owners of this community have a right to speak. Your voice is important. It's the voice that matters, okay? So let's all just calm down, let her finish, and then at least, I promise you.
Could I ask one thing? How much longer is it going to be?
Less than 2 minutes.
You can,
You're good.
2 minutes? You stand on that? Thank you.
listen.
Go ahead, Sue.
The last point that I would like to make and recommend to the City Council is a pilot jobs program. This would be in the summer of 2020. It would be a pilot program that would hire at least two homeless people as apprentices in the Public Works Department. It would cost the city very, very, very little, and I'd like to point out to you, there are thousands of voters in the city of Yelm. There are thousands of homeowners who pay taxes in the city of Yelm. There are thousands of people who have the dignity of having a job. I would like to see some dignity restored to these people who are at the bottom. The thing is, one more quick thing. In previous years, there has been money spent or allotted in the budget of the city of Yelm to inadvertently or help the homeless because it has been contributed to the Yelm Community Services. Yelm Community Services has a food bank, and they are partially funded also by the Thurston County Food Bank. This food bank helps our people quite tremendously. Not only the homeless people, but the people who are close to being homeless. That $3,000 a year that was spent is no longer being spent because the city at one point decided not to do that anymore. I think that that should be restored in the budget and applied toward this program. And again, the taxpayers of this city have access, inadvertently again, to an $8 million budget. What does $4,800 look like compared to $8 million a year spent to make this community a good community? And I want this community to be 100%, not 99%. Thank you. Thank you.
My name's Debra Larson.
Alright, simmer down, you guys. You got one last one here.
Testing.
The last slide. Okay, the cold weather shelter at the community center has already been discussed. I'm going to skip over that. One of the things I'd like to see is I am concerned that the homeless are at a high risk to have hypothermia. And I think that part of that concern of mine comes from being a mountain climber and a hiker in the high country around in the Cascades, and also in Alaska, where I was the senior researcher for the causes of death in Alaska. And one of I think our top one was accidents. And accidents really translated into they fell overboard, or they ran their snow machine into the creek or something, and they died of hypothermia. So I'm very concerned that we have people who are at a high risk for that happening. So I would like to see the city purchase some waterproof, warm clothing and boots for homeless people. And I think that this would go a long ways toward guaranteeing that they're not going to die on us, because basically hypothermia results in death. Monthly clinic for services provided by the state, county, community action council, and other providers of substance abuse counseling and health and mental health services. The main reason for this is that there are a lot of places that are going to outreach to Yelm, or so they have said they will. And we're planning to keep them to their word and have them meet periodically so that the people who are homeless can come in and connect to services. And I think that's pretty much the same as everybody, other people have said. And then I wanted to set aside a small amount of money for purchase of bus passes, shower, laundry vouchers, porta potties, and other needs that the homeless have. The idea is to get the human waste off the street, to provide cleaner folks who don't look homeless so much, who are allowed to have some self-respect by being clean. The bus passes would help them go to Olympia to receive services or to another location. And then I had two of my points that talked about task forces, but I think that if we continue this task force or do what Molly is suggesting and have a ongoing process of looking at items that the homeless are needing and that are needed to make sure that they're not infringing on your rights by making a big mess or leaving needles around or whatever. Do you want that? Do you want to have needles laying around? I'm saying, I know. And the other thing was that I think that we could incentivize building low-income housing as part of all developments.
Let her finish, please. We only got a couple points
And
left.
then low-income housing is gonna help, especially low-income people who are on the edge of becoming homeless. There's an awfully large population of people in our community who are just that close to being homeless. And I would like to see that done. So that's all that I have.
All right, so now we've gone through all the different recommendations from each individual task force member. We're going to go from the very start. It'll be a lot quicker. We'll just do a quick up and down vote on each item. We'll move on. We're not going to be chatting about it. We're just going to do an up and down vote, and then we're going to go ahead and make the recommendations, and then folks can talk about whether they enjoy them, whether they don't like them, and anything else after that. And remember, this is nothing we do here is finalized for the city council. It has to go to staff and then city council, and multiple opportunities for public involvement and speech. Yes, sir, do you have a question real fast?
I do.
Yep.
Why is it that we've done nothing but say how we're against this, but yet this task force, which I think is a joke, continues to roll forward on selling this community down the river to a bunch of filth?
Thank you, sir, for your comments. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and get started. I just asked Molly, she'd go to the first slide. Molly, Rachel, do you want to start?
On clarification,
Yes, ma'am. Go fast.
with respect to the first item of continuing the volunteer task force, how is the volunteer task force organized?
Sure. So we're not going through each individual item right now, just for brevity. We're going to go to the vote, and then you can say your piece whether you like it or not. We've had a lot of different options up for multiple meetings now. We're going to go ahead and get started on the actual voting. All right.
This is Agenda 21.
All right. This is an actual meeting, guys, so we're going to go through the votes right now. So, starting off with Rachael Craig's continuation of a volunteer homelessness task force or committee dedicated to address the ongoing issue of homelessness in Yelm. Task force members only, please raise your hand if you want to. Sir, please simmer down, please. First, yay if you want this. Yes, raise your hand. We got 1, 2, 3. Sorry, Molly, four votes. Sorry, five with myself. All right, all opposed to this one? Any opposed?
I want the commission, so I don't have to.
All right.
Yes, we don't get to vote, it's them.
Are you counting, Molly? Okay.
Excuse me, we
Yes.
are living in a constitutional republic. That means the city council, who was elected by the people of this community, work for the people of this community, and we are the ones you should be listening to.
As you said, absolutely, we have to listen.
Wait, let her speak. Let her speak. You stop. Jesus.
This is supposed to be a business meeting, you guys. Hey, you guys, this is a business meeting. We're not, if you all want to go down this route, you all want to do this, we can just videotape this, and so for transparency and all that, but we need to make these votes. We need to make these votes as they were prescribed by the city council by ordinance, or excuse me, by resolution. We have to get through these votes, and then we'll go. Okay? You'll have multiple opportunities to speak to the city council, whether you support or not support these actions.
We thought we had multiple opportunities to speak to you. That was a lie, too.
Yeah, again, these are just recommendations, you guys. There's nothing. All right, number 2, please raise your hand. Use of Yelm Community Center for emergency shelter during periods of severe inclement weather as designated by Thurston County. All raise your hand for yes.
So we don't get to vote, only the
Correct. So we got how many more?
And then they go.
3, okay. And opposed to this? Lower your hands, opposed?
Can't hear you. What was that? I can't hear you. Say it again. Say again, please. Last vote.
Increase enforcement of
Wait.
RCW. Build on current law enforcement partnership with Thurston County and the Scully Tribe to increase narcotics enforcement. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? All right, next. Work with local nonprofits and churches that already provide services to low income and homeless. Provide a list of existing services to vulnerable. Lastly, host a monthly clinic at the Yelm Community Center with volunteers from DSHS, Thurston County Office of Housing and Homeless Prevention, addiction mental and health counselors, and mental and dental professionals. Raise your hand, yes. All in favor, yes?
Debra Larson.
Yes or no, you guys?
Yes or no?
Meeting there. They're deciding.
Why are you voting and we're just sitting here without giving options? You guys don't know how it works.
Oh, really?
You don't know what obviously wasn't explained well.
All right, next one from Molly. Create a permanent homelessness commission. All in favor, raise your hand.
Business meeting for inputs.
All right, next by Susan. Cold weather emergency overnight shelter space. Open Yelm Community Center when available during code blue emergencies. All those in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. All opposed? All right. Next, outreach meeting space. Weekly planning for service organizations to meet with the homeless. All in favor?
What was the question? What was the question?
This is the outreach meeting space.
Yes, I know.
Next is trash pickup, public works service organizations, and homeless. If you're in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? Next is ordinances. Use caution, common sense, and historical review of the effects of using city ordinances as an avenue to solve the social problems associated with homelessness. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? All right, lastly, jobs program. Pilot, summer 2020 pilot program to hire 2+ homeless people as apprentices in public works. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed?
We've been waiting 13 months.
All right, next slide, please. All right, cold weather shelter at the community center during code blue events. We already voted on this one. All right, next one, purchase warm waterproof clothing and boots for homeless. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. Next, monthly clinic for services. We've already done that one. Debra, we already did that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Provides $7,500 for purchase of bus passes, shower/laundry vouchers, porta potties. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed?
Porta potties for homeless. Give them bus passes so they can try and drive around.
Create a task force on affordable housing and job development. Combine that with which one?
I'm gonna defer to the other.
Okay, so we're gonna take this one off. All right, we're gonna skip to the next one. We're voting on incentivizing building low-income housing as part of new developments. All in favor, raise your hand.
Oh, I know.
She doesn't know what she's doing.
All opposed?
I feel you should.
All right, last one, Caribbean Task Force on Domestic Violence and Homeless Families. All in favor, raise your hand.
No, it's a new one because we're not addressing the domestic violence aspect.
Yeah, so we're voting on it. Okay. So creating a task force on domestic violence and homeless families, raise your hand, yay. All opposed? All right, is that it, all I heard? Okay. We're going to take a 2-minute break real fast. We'll tally up the results real fast, and we'll go over which ones did action pass.
An increase in law enforcement and an increase to enforce the ordinances. So the ones that were tied were, we opened up the Yelm Community Center for Code Blue and started jobs program. Everything else failed. Okay?
All right. Now we're going to go ahead and open up to the public. So if you want to go ahead and line up right here.
Point of information,
What's that?
how are you gonna handle those ties? Revote?
We can present it as a tie to the council.
Thank you.
All right. So if you want to comment on any of these subjects, now's your opportunity to do so. We'll have a mic up here for you to chat. We're going to limit to 3 minutes each. And thanks.
Hi. My experience is.
Can't hear you.
Hi there.
Hello.
My experience is I had a neighbor, a 10-year-old and his father. The father's parents died. He ended up homeless January 2nd. This was 3 years ago. He ended up homeless January 2nd. This was 3 years ago. He had his vehicle stuffed with clothes. And so I said, look, I know how to do this. And so I stuck them in a truck with a sleeping bag and a rest, and then they got the hang of it. And then, we ended up going to family services in Olympia. We pay our taxes for family services, and they got on a list. They started off with a voucher that pays like 3 times the deposit. That didn't work because the real estate people look at them and they say, oh, we don't have any rentals. Yet I know they did have rentals. So then they go back to family services and they got in a different housing program. It took 5.5 months. I followed them around. I gave them gas. Some family members bought them food from time to time, and we made it work. There's showers in the schools for the kids that are homeless with their parents. There is something we can do if you have the courage. I walked into the house because I was checking up on this kid. The house basically got run over by all the homeless in that area and with multiple drug addictions. I'm not trained to tell who's doing what, but you can tell that someone's doing something when they're sleeping all day. And when they're taking over a kid's bedroom and saying, can you please get out? I'm having a conversation. So in one room, I moved into an entire family, 3 kids and 2 parents. So anyhow, they got kicked out, and now they have a home in Lacey, but we have services we pay for. And if you just take a picture of this or Google family services, at the very first meeting that we had, they are now placing people. So if you have the courage, these people are hopeless. They know they have bad credit, they know they've done wrong with their addictions, and I just kept on these 2, the dad and the kid, and until they have a home. So it is possible, and it is possible with whatever we've already financed. And that's just one story.
Everybody here okay?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So this is not a plan for socialism. We are in a constitutional republic. The people have the vote. The people have the voice. This is an illegal task force as far as I'm concerned because we never even knew about it. We have different types of homeless people here. Most of them are not from our community. And If they are illegal, that they've come across our southern border, then our police department should be asked to cooperate with ICE and return them across the border. If they have drug addictions, we have sanctuary cities that have received tremendous amounts of federal funds to set up drug rehabilitation centers and shelters and all of that, and they should be removed from our community and taken there because we can't do anything for them. People that are left that are from our community, we might be able to do something for. If they really are, they've been here more than a week. I mean, they have to have been people who have productive lives here, who weren't a burden on the community, who worked and had homes or whatever, and lived here. And those people, however small the number might be, we don't need a homeless shelter for 6 people. Yes. Right? So we have been speaking to you for a number of meetings, and I don't think you're listening because you're taking votes without our agreement, you're creating task forces without our agreements, and you should be listening to what we have to say because we elected you. And we're not going to re-elect you if you don't listen to us.
Hi, I would just like to say that none of us know if any of the suggestions that are being put forward actually work. That doesn't say we shouldn't necessarily try them, but if we are going to try them, it's obviously a trial. So we should consider them as a pilot study, and just after 1 year, not have it as a permanent thing, do it for 1 year or whatever, 18 months maximum, and then stop and review and make sure that we're not increasing the number of homeless here and making the problem worse, and that we are actually making a difference and decreasing the homeless problem, whatever you choose. That's what it is.
So I have a question for the city council probably, and especially the police lady that's here tonight. Do we have sufficient ordinances and RTWs to control the situation that we have on the streets out here? I see people here with cardboard signs. Is that legal? I have never seen anybody using the streets as a bathroom yet, but I know that happens in other places. Do we have laws and rules against stuff like that? And can you enforce it?
I'll address the first question you have. It is not a crime to hold a cardboard sign asking for money. It is a crime to aggressively panhandle in the city limits of Yelm. Okay, we have an ordinance against that. The police department, trust me, we enforce every ordinance and RCW that we have at our resources and availability. I promise we do. What happens after that is done is completely up to the prosecutor's office. It has nothing to do with the Yelm Police Department. We can only do our jobs, what we are paid to do, to protect you. Second part of your question was, I haven't seen anybody defecating on our sidewalks. That was downtown Olympia the last time I saw that. What was the second part? I'm sorry.
That was the question. We haven't seen that here, but I'm afraid if we open it up and we start having homeless shelters here, that those people are going to
Let's not suggest that.
And then we're going to have that.
Let's just not suggest it. And if it happens, we'll handle it.
You have the laws and ordinances to be able to take.
Right. Defecation in public is definitely a violation of revised code of Washington.
I would think so. I'm surprised that standing out there with a cardboard sign that you're not.
Now,
That kind of surprises.
that's a freedom of speech issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
How you guys doing? My name is Stephen Capon. I work at a New Life Christian Center and at Eagle View Christian School. And I just want to say thank you guys for all your work, first off. This isn't city council, so these aren't the people we voted for. They just happen to have some city council in the task force.
No. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, no, they are, but they're also, this is just the task force. This isn't the city council. So I just want you guys to know, what they're doing is they've heard. I mean, if you guys listen to what they voted for, what passed was kind of the stuff that we even agreed with. So, and I'm in the middle of both of it, you know. I work for the church, so I obviously got some beliefs in God and Jesus and the gospel. It hurts. I listen to you, man. The beard. I hear you. it sucks. It's like, these are the problems we don't want to deal with. But I appreciate what you guys have been doing, what you guys' work is. Two things that I want to add to it is the domestic violence issue is what, about 80% of the women that are homeless are created from that, or is it about 50%? And
I have no statistics on that.
so two things that I would say is, I didn't really hear anything in your guys' thing for domestic violence, except for the commission thing. Was it covered in there? Because that would be one thing I'd be like, we need to push that a little bit more as a task force to figure out domestic violence. I know the police has that, but what resources do we have for community beyond the police force?
The state of Washington and the county of Thurston provides outstanding resources for this. We as officers, upon any domestic violence scene, whether it's verbal, physical, arrests are made or not, we hand out information, 1-800 number cards, and every resource that we have available for information to the victims of domestic violence, male or female. Sex has no bearing on that.
Right. Perfect. No, that's what I wanted to know. That's awesome. We really appreciate that. So, two things. You guys have the bathrooms back here in the back of this building, and you guys said something about porta potties. So I don't know why we would have to have porta potties if we've already used funds to build bathrooms back here, where it'd be easier just to have a weekly, bi-weekly cleaning of those bathrooms back there.
That's a public works question.
So anyways, it's just...
They've already said that they are closed down because they have problems with them being vandalized and...
Exactly. So the thing is, if you put porta potties up, what's going to happen to porta potties?
Exactly.
So that's kind of pointless, right? So I love the ongoing thing. I hope I get more involved with that as we go on and continue in those works. I think you guys are on the right track, and if you guys are allowed to show up at city council, right? Are we allowed as citizens to show up at city council meetings for this stuff? So yeah, just so you guys know, that would be another opportunity for you guys to speak on those things.
If I allow us to speak for one thing, Matt said, Stacy's right, there are wonderful programs in Olympia, but I talked to the people who are at the Family Services Center in Olympia, and they say they are full up, that they are at capacity, and they have a waiting list of people that need to get into those housing opportunities and shelters.
The only other thing I would say to that too is, it's with the church and everything, we have the Christian school, which is kind of nice, but we've had a few people in the community. It's 3 miles out of town, but there are people that wander out in that area, and our goal too is to make sure that those kids at the school are safe beyond safe, right? The parents have no doubt in their mind that their kids on that campus are safe, and so those are just different concerns from our perspective too. But again, my name's Stephen Capon. You guys can reach out to me anytime about anything. So cool.
Bye.
My name is Nicole Olsen. My question to the task force, one of my questions. First, did the task force go visit our neighboring communities to see, talk with Lacey or Olympia about the problems that they're having, or where they felt that the holes were in their own planning or lack of planning?
Sure, there was a few communities we reached out to, specifically in this Holy Tribe, and then Thurston County as well, but not individual
Did you visit is what she asked?
Yeah, absolutely. I visited on this Holy Reservation tribal land, see what they did over there, which was a lot of the clearing from the sides of the roads that you saw. That was one thing to combat some of the folks that were camping in that area. So that was one of our solutions to it. But yeah, there was some outreach.
So specifically Lacey, the city of Lacey or the city of Olympia, because that's where I see a lot of the main problems are actually in the city of Olympia and the city of Lacey. So did anybody here talk to them or go look at the areas that there's a lot of the problem?
Yes, I did. I definitely did, and Susie did as well. We went down and saw the place where they have kind of a crisis intervention system, where they have the different services to the homeless, and they have the medical and the dental and the showers and things that they need. And also, I have had an ongoing conversation with the city people who do the once-a-year survey of all the homeless people, and we try to find them wherever they are and find out how many there are and what they need and why they're homeless.
Okay.
And also the Thurston County, last meeting, we had Keely come, and I'm in touch with her, and there's a lot of programs that are going on that Susie and I researched, and we know where they are and who's doing them, and there's a lot of information that we have about what's going on.
I guess additionally okay.
Sorry, and I did go talk to city council members from those cities and talk to them about, their issues and what they're facing and, what the public response has been to their issues, so yes.
I guess some of my confusion is a lot of what was recommended, honestly, even by the two of you who had good communication, is a lot of the problems that they have is a direct result of some of the things you're offering as a solution. Since I wasn't talking the whole time, can I just have a little bit more? Okay, additionally, the last meeting that I came to, which was well publicized, and I didn't come to the last one because it was not well publicized, and we were told it might be canceled, as this one was not well publicized, but, so here I am now, but the meeting I did come to a month ago, I mentioned Wheeler Avenue. Does anybody remember that? It's right by I-5. I actually took a video of it today, so if anybody wants to see that video, just so that we know really clearly what making it easy to trash a place and say we have a plan but that's not really functional. I have video footage of that I would willingly share because I really think we have to look at that. That's our neighbor right off of Boulevard. We all drive there, we all shop there, that's our capital. It's a hot mess, and I just worry about making it too easy here. My other question is, if this was for Cold Blue, it would definitely cost more than a donation of the building. It would have to be watched very carefully, and I don't know that if 50 people are in here in a cold night for 15 hours, that one cop, I don't know if that's enough. And does anybody know any business owners downtown Olympia? Because nightly they have a concrete sidewalk right out of the side of the building, and nightly it is defecated and urinated on, and it stinks walking in. And that's even with that they now have an alliance going around cleaning. And this is our community center.
Just to address the Code Blue one, so we currently already do this. We already have a warming center and a cooling center when it's overly hot or overly cold. So we do that, and Task Force was thinking about expanding on those hours.
Where is it?
At the public safety building.
During the daytime. No, we do it at night.
But is that more of a 9 to 5 and there's a lot more staff over there, right? And so overnight and lightly staffed and a lot more people being able to fit, I feel is a different situation. So I don't know.
I think Stacy, didn't you just clarify it is nighttime too?
Yeah, when we had a snowstorm, I think it was a couple years ago, we had one person, we contacted the homeless people that we knew of in town, where they were. We had one person come, he slept for a couple hours, and he got up and left, and he didn't like the rules. So that was his choice. It was where city council used to be. We let them sleep on the floor. It was the one person that used it. We made sure he was okay. We offered him water, snack. It's his choice.
Wow. So that vote was tied.
Yes.
And all of these ideas are going to be sent over to the city. The city is going to cost them all out and see how much they're all going to cost. Because I absolutely agree with you. It's going to cost more to put people here. You've got to staff it overnight.
They're not going to just stay out of a room that's got electronics in it. They're in need of money.
I just want to finish with, I will say, I do appreciate people volunteering their time to do things like this. And I know that it was publicized, they were starting the task force, I saw it. So I think some people might not have seen that. And now that it's more of a heated discussion, we're more aware of it because we realize the impact it can have. So just an FYI, I know know, maybe if you missed seeing they were building a task force, it's because you missed seeing it, not because it wasn't offered. So, I mean, I am going to give them the benefit of that. I don't like all the suggestions. I'm not saying that, but I also, they did put time and the offer was out, and it could have been a bigger task force, but more people did not offer to be on it when it was open. So, I'm going to give them that credit. It's great time, so thank you.
I'd like to reiterate what this lady said, is that these plans have been done over and over again in city after city after city, and the homeless population has exploded. Exploded. And my background in the homeless is I was a firefighter in 1996 in Bothell, and the church, who I think has a lot of responsibility in this, decided, the Baptist church, that they were going to put a homeless encampment in the parking lot for 25 people. They said the same stuff that you guys are saying, oh, they're good people, they're just down on their luck, they need some help, you know, blah, 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 and they decided to do it. And they put that camp in, and 2 months later, it ballooned from 25 to 140. And the Baptist church was saying, we made a poor decision. Okay? So, we as firefighters, back then, there wasn't a lot of the coverage there is now. We would go in there, 2 of us, 3 of us, into these camps, and the stuff that we saw was absolutely gross. And it happens in front of you and your family. Okay, it took 8 months to get rid of that camp. It took 4 more months to get rid of the stragglers that slunk off into the green belts. Okay, now Seattle. This is Seattle. If they're going into a homeless camp, they need 6 firefighters. 6. Or they have to be escorted by police. That's how safe these places are. Now, there's one thing that we can do. One thing. It's just not allow it. That's what these people are saying to you. Just don't allow it. Just let the police do their job. Just let them shuffle them off somewhere else. Maybe they'll figure it out. Maybe they won't. That's not our job.
Right.
I get up every day. Okay? Why can't they? They made a choice to be addicted to heroin. They made a choice to be addicted to meth. They made a choice to be alcoholics. And how much money do I have to spend for their bad choices? Or you, sir, or you, ma'am, or you back there, who spoke so eloquently earlier. We can't afford to allow this to happen because it just grows. It becomes a life of its own. And it's ugly. And it's filthy. That's all I gotta say.
I think some people on the task force think that our community doesn't appreciate your time and what you're trying to do. And we do. But when you live it, you see it, and you look at every angle of it, in our community where we live, you know, we're not feeling our voices are heard. One of you mentioned that we're being really hateful. We're not being hateful. We're being protective of where we live and where we raise our children. For maybe those of you that don't know, Yelm had a homeless shelter for 25 years. Just recently, Yelm Homeless Shelter closed and became a helping housing, where they have 3 beds and a studio house as well, a studio apartment. And they have that for people that they do it like I think it was a third of their income. Whatever their income is, if it's $5, they only pay a third of it. And it's all utilities paid. They don't have a waiting list there, but they have rules now. Because when it was a shelter, it was vandalized, people started fires in them, people tore everything down, and then even after they closed the shelter and made it private, mostly to help people that actually wanted the help, they still had people coming onto their property, and they had to build fences, and they were still trying to vandalize things, even in a building where let's say a mom and her child were trying to have a warm bed and the mom had to get up and go to work the next day. They were still trying to break in there and take that away. So some of you might not understand that people in our community that have seen these things happen, know of these things, have lived it, and saw our community before all this came to us more heavily. We're just protecting it. And it's not that I don't want to help somebody that wants help, really truly wants help. Like I said in our first meeting, my dad and I went out and handed out blankets to even those that were probably addicts on the street. But the point is, people here aren't hateful. I don't like it when I see the newspaper or other people portray our community as being so negative. We're not. We're not negative. It's not that we don't appreciate mankind or have love and value and respect for every life. But if they don't respect their own life and they don't respect ours, then I think that maybe some of you are unaware of that. We have several buildings and several apartment buildings that have been built over many years now that are for low-income housing. We do what we can as a community to help. And again, I'm going to reiterate this again. There's a reason even our own lifelong member, County Commissioner Gary Edwards, voted against this as well.
Hi, my name is Rachael Craig. I'm a business owner. I have a business in McKenna. I've been in this area for 27 years. I own property, I'm a taxpayer. But what I hear tonight is your concern and your protectiveness, and that's great. But you're lumping all these people into one lump. And that, we've done this. I've been on this with Susie for quite a while, for 3 or 4 years now, talking to these people. And there is a percentage of them that are mentally ill, 20% of them. Then we have veterans that are on the street. They can't get help. Some of them weren't discharged honorably, but they served this country. There's a portion of them that were abused and came from abused families. They are not all drug addicts. They are not all sexual perverts. And I was at the meeting with the chief the other day, and they said they arrested 99 people in September. And so I was curious, well, how many of those people were in traffic? And the chief said, I ballparked it, a 15, 20 were vehicles. What about warrants? Oh, I think 10 or 15 warrants. And I asked of all the 99, how many people that you arrested didn't have an address? 1. So there's not a crime wave going on here. We have gone to Mars, we have landed on the moon, we have agencies, and we have churches, and we have concerned citizens. We can sit down and do something good for the people that do want help. And you're right, there's 2% of every population, every demographic that does not want help. But that's a small percentage. So that's how it goes. Like women and children on the street, they don't want help on the street. They want help. And I think that we love and we believe in Christ, then walk a mile in my shoes and do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And let's work together to make a solution. Let's have a solution that works and has some compassion.
So that's
Let her have her piece, you guys. Y'all focus. You want to go
I know I'm outnumbered, but I believe in Jesus Christ, and I believe that He was born in a barn, and He takes care of those that are poor and indigent. So that's what I want to say. We can do this together. The churches, the agencies, and we as human beings can find some solutions that work. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for your time.
I have a question. Instead of just following what all the other places have done, if we could make a motion to the state to open up their mental facilities for all the meth, for all the heroin, for all, whatever the addiction is. Instead of Seattle using $250,000 to get them out and put them in somebody else's backyard, why don't they just open that mental facility again? And then the people know that they're going to have to clean up. If that's what they choose to do, they'll get stuck in a mental facility.
That's good.
Is it possible to make a motion? How do we do it? It should be open. We shouldn't have these mentally ill in this league. The longer someone's homeless, the more their mental health goes down.
So, ma'am, that would be not to city council, you'd have to talk to a state representative like JT Wilcox.
So JT Wilcox is, so how do we do this?
Just write to his office, call his office.
Email Andrew Barca, JT Wilcox, just go to their office.
So, thank you again very much for opening this up to the public, and I would like to address some options. I also took the opportunity to meet with my county commissioner, who is Gary Edwards, and he not only has experience as a county commissioner, he also has decades of experience in law enforcement at the county level. His very strong suggestion was to pursue existing services. His very strong suggestion was, do not set up the government to take over or be responsible for any kind of public housing. These were very strong suggestions, and he's able to provide details. So I would like to just address some of what I would consider vulnerable populations. In my understanding, I have not yet been able to get details, but I am working with Wilcox's office on this. So in my understanding, the governor has closed Eastern State and Western State hospitals or portions thereof. To date, the information I have is is a result of those institutions repeatedly failing to pass federal guidelines. As Gary Edwards explained to me, this is resulting in those populations who are being released from these mental institutions, the responsibility for their welfare falling on the counties. So, from my perspective, if Eastern State and Western State are closing, there are budgets available that were funding these institutions. Those budgets should be available to the local communities. Those budgets should be available. If the responsibility for these individuals is falling on the counties, those budgets should be available to the counties. Not only because those individuals, the responsibility for those individuals is falling on the counties, but there has been no transition set up for shifting the responsibility for the people exiting those mental institutions. That's one of the vulnerable populations. Another one is substance abuse. There are endless resources for people who are dealing with substance abuse. Endless at all levels. Okay, another one is veterans. Again, these people should be under some kind of federal programs. That's what the nature of being a veteran is. So those programs should be available. Another one that has been brought up has been people who are on the edge. Okay, so those people need some kind of counseling. They may need some kind of legal protection if they've been subjected to predatory lending practices.
Final thoughts, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. I just have a couple more points.
Ma'am.
Okay, I have one more point.
Sure.
The next vulnerable population that I believe needs to be considered are the citizens. Because the next thing you have of people who are living on the street are people who are deliberately taking advantage of the system. And these people are in a situation where they do not have income, and they have a high potential of becoming a predatory population. targeting your citizens.
I have a question for the police officer here. I have a business in Rainier, and I had a guy last summer, he was about 240 pounds, sleeping in front of my business for about 8 hours. I finally got brave enough and went outside and said, "You can't stay here, you have to go." And he ignored me. So finally I didn't know what to do about it. So he slept there for about 8 hours. And then I did call the police. But he did get up all of a sudden, and he looked like he was dead. I mean, he was not moving. And all of a sudden he got up and he just took off on a dead run down the street. And I was like, wow, we went from dead to running. But I'm just wondering, if somebody's sleeping in front of your business, is that legal? Can you call the police on that?
Well, ma'am, your business is in the city limits of Rainier, correct? Okay, your city contracts with Thurston County Sheriff's Office. And whether you think it's legal or not, if you have any suspicious activity like that or a problem, please call them and they will help you. And they will do whatever they can within their means to make sure that your business is safe.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we got our last speaker here. One last speaker after this.
Denise Bryan. And first I want to thank Molly for showing the PowerPoint tonight at the beginning of the meeting. That was something that I circulated on Facebook on several of the young groups, along with a couple of interviews that were done from the mayor up in Marysville. It is a process that they started about 18 months ago, and I don't know this man, but from the first meeting, it triggered me to go back and find the interview with John Rance. Listen to it again, get it out there so everybody that's on those groups and on Facebook can start looking at it, because it was working 6 months into the program. So I took it upon myself to email the mayor after the September meeting here, and to my shock, he telephoned me that day. Yeah, I thought, wow, okay. So we had a nice conversation, and I asked him if his program now, a year and a half later, was still working. And he said it was. He said it is a two-pronged program, and basically the homeless, addiction people, mental illness people, when they have committed a crime, they are given a choice. One, they can go detox in the police station, or two, they can go into the rehabilitation process and go through the process that was highlighted on one of the screens there. And it's a process that requires DSHS, I guess all the different people at the county, the various cities around, they will partnership together, because Marysville's not that big either. They're bigger than us, but not that big. And they couldn't afford to house all these people. Their streets are clean. Their parks are clean. They have a couple people that walk away from the program, but to date, he told me, after 18 months and partnering with all the different departments and the county of Snohomish, they have had 111 people, I'm talking addicts, on opioids, heroin, off the streets and into homes, living on their own and back at jobs. So his system is working. The day that I spoke to him, he had just gotten off the phone with the city of Spokane mayor. That mayor doesn't even know what to do at this point, because they're doing everything that Seattle is trying to do, which we all know isn't working, okay? He's contacted these people from Marysville to get the same program that Molly presented partially to us, because they want to know what's working, and it's working up north. But it is taking a collective effort of the cities and the counties, the police force, all of them, DSHS, I think there was a list of several people, the churches, and everybody coming together, because nobody wants this in their community. But these people do need help. I don't want them here. I don't want them in my backyard. You know, I got a bunch of woods behind me. I don't even know what's back there, to be honest with you. Yeah. I'm hoping nothing, but, yeah, well, the dogs would tell me, so luckily I got that. So I think my suggestion to Joe and Molly, I sent them to both of them, and to, I think Tracy was another person, was to take a serious look at this before the city council votes. Because they're gonna be making a vote on what to do on this. I think it needs more time. I think they need to look at what is working, that is working. The mayor was more than happy to get involved with anybody that wanted to down here. He's open for a telephone call, a meeting, whatever. He was very helpful. So that's my recommendation. Everybody, please go to the city council meeting. I don't know, Molly, or somebody can tell you, but that is where we need to stand up and report what I just reported. If you don't want them to vote on it and you want them to research this further and look at what is working in the city. Thank you.
My question is about the trash pickup. What is to stop me, a taxpayer, from dumping my trash in the homeless trash collection area if my bin is too full and I don't want to pay extra? The second part of that question is, would Yelm's Finest be authorized to use force on me for breaking the law for dumping my trash in the trash collection areas for the homeless?
Sir, that won't pass. That option failed. That won't happen. Not for recommendation from the task force, no sir.
No, it tied. It will be reported. Oh.
No, it did not. No.
What were the ties?
The code blue.
Good question.
So the question was, what were the tie votes? And the tie votes were opening the Yelm Community Center for Code Blue events and a Public Works Jobs program.
Oh, jobs. Okay.
But the garbage did not pass.
All right, you guys. This concludes the meeting here of the Yelm Homelessness Task Force. We are going to make our final recommendation with these listed here. 2 of them did tie. All of these recommendations will be up on the Yelm City Council, the Yelm City website. Hopefully tomorrow, if not the next day, but we'll get it right up there so everyone can look at it. And then we'll be actually voting on it on City Council, but not for a long time. At least, I'll say that. The city has to look at it, staff has to identify what the costs are, if any, on some of these programs. You want a question? Come on up for the mic,
I
please.
just want to know, how do we find out when those meetings are going to be then?
So every meeting for the city council has a study session the first Tuesday of every month at 6 o'clock. Every Tuesday of every month. So it'll most likely start off one of those. Agendas are on, and then for city council meetings, it's on the second and fourth Tuesday, also at 6 o'clock. And it'll be put up on the city website with the agenda, and you can view it. Just look at it. It's usually put up by Friday of each previous week. Yes, ma'am.
Joe, I don't mean to interrupt, because this is such a heated subject and people are emotional about it, I would suggest that when you choose to vote or have that council meeting, that you don't just put it on the common page, that you publicize it a little more.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
We'll put it up on social media.
And hold it somewhere else in the city council chamber, because you won't get everybody in there. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, you're gonna have to hold it somewhere else, buddy.
Yeah, we'll
Have the
we'll
meeting
have to
here.
deal with that question.
Have the meeting here.
Don't know people
All right.
out.
It'll be a good option. Yes, ma'am.
Just a quick question. I would ask that when I saw there were some things you may be starting other task force or commissions or whatever, that you include anybody with a Yelm address, that it's not just confined to, quote, city limits. Because there are so many people that would react.
Lastly, I do want to thank the task force. I know we all didn't agree and see eye to eye on a lot of these issues, but appreciate the time and efforts and work that you put into this task force. So could we please give a round of applause to the task force? Thank you everyone for coming out. out and look for the recommendations on the city website. Thank you so much. You'll have a wonderful night.